Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. A while back I made a review video of this Staccato C pistol at 2,000 rounds. I'm just hitting 4,000 rounds and I'm still in love with this thing. About the only thing that would make it better in my opinion is if it could take Glock mags. Well, Staccato unveiled their new HD line of pistols last month at SHOT Show, and guess what? They take Glock mags. So am I going to ditch this or am I going to trade up for the HD? Let's get into it. So if you watch my review video on the Staccato C pistol, you know that I liked pretty much everything about it. The things I didn't like was the old light I had on here, the stream light, which actually broke the other day at the range, and the holster. Aside from that, it's pretty much all good. And about the only wish list item I would have to have my perfect gun would be if this took Glock mags. Reason being, my other pistol platform that I use are Glock 9mm platforms, so if these two platforms shared the same common mag, it would make my life a lot easier. So Staccato unveiled the official specs and this thing went live at the end of January. And there was two things that kind of caught my eye as potential concerns. The first one was the new HD P4 has a steel frame, so it's 6 ounces heavier than the Staccato C, 32 versus 26 ounces. And the fact that it had a Series 80 versus the Series 70 trigger that I have in this C, and then I think pretty common in all their legacy 2011 platforms. So those were kind of the two concerns. The other sort of big marketing ploys that they were trying to really pump up for the HD series was grip safety delete, the fact that it's drop safe, which is the whole reason they need the Series 80 trigger, ambidextrous improvements by having a slide release on the right side and being able to flip the mag release. And the last thing was moving the optic behind the rear fixed sight to kind of give larger optics such as this RMR HD, getting them away from the ejection port. And I actually like that one. The other ones I really don't care about. My local gun store did get one of these in and I ran down there just to feel it. So the concern about the steel frame and the added weight didn't seem to be as big a deal. The trigger, however, was, I wouldn't say concerning, but you could definitely feel longer travel and some additional resistance until you hit the wall. So I have not shot this gun yet, the new HD, but those were kind of some of the concerns. So the trigger was sort of the main thing hanging out there. Since the unveiling of the HD P4, several YouTubers have now received their HD P4 and have made review videos. Some of these guys include Roger Barrera, QVO Tactical, The Humble Marksman, Nightwood Guns, and The Honest Outlaw. After watching all the videos, they did bring up some small things that I didn't really think about at first. One of those was the width or the thickness of the trigger guard. I think it was Nightwood Guns that pointed this out.
And look at how thick the trigger guard is too. It's a wide boy, that's for sure.
And I went back for a second visit to go to the gun store to hold this thing and to look specifically for this. And yeah, the width of the trigger guard is like insane. It's way wider than what I have here on the C, and that just kind of seems weird. Another common complaint that they all had was the sort of hot spot that this beaver tail, where your web of your hand goes, where the grip safety is now deleted.
So when you line them all up, when I present, it feels exactly the same, but it's like a sharp point back here where the recoil is, and it's definitely beating the crap out of the webbing of my hand. I'll show you guys here up close. I'm sure after a few, 1,000 rounds, I'll probably just get a callus there. I won't notice it anymore like anything else. But I think if you come out here and you're somebody that was shooting the 2011, Staccato P or C2 prior to this, I think you're all going to notice like, oh, hey, that's a point right there that you definitely feel the recoil and you're like, oh, that's going to get tender after a while.
The thing that is probably the biggest negative that I have with this pistol is this beaver tail is not a traditional 2011 beaver tail.
So that thing absolutely chews up the web of my hand about right there. It doesn't hit in the same spot as a regular 2011 safety does.
The Series 80's trigger, some of the guys tried to downplay this a little bit, I felt like, but there's no getting around it. It's mechanically different. It's doing more things mechanically, so it's just inherently not going to be as good as a Series 70 trigger.
Now, I prefer the Series 70 trigger. I prefer that little bit lighter, crisper trigger. This one seems a little bit more spongy. However, if you're into the drop safe stuff, probably the better option.
However, the reason that the Series 80 trade-off isn't worth it to me is because when you are getting that first shot or taking a precision shot and you're getting through that take-up, it is a heavier, tensioned, mushy, crunchy take-up.
The fit and finish, that was one I didn't notice. One of the guys commented about being able to see the tooling marks kind of in the slide. And if you even look on their own website, their own marketing kind of media pictures, you can actually see toolpath marks kind of emanating through the surface coating. That was kind of a question mark there. Not really sure why that was or is.
The other thing, and I was a little surprised to see this, honestly, because Staccato normally doesn't do this, is there are actual visible chatter marks on the curves of the slide. They're very difficult to video, but in the studio lights right now, they're jumping off the page at me. Just I can see the tooling marks on the bevel of the slide where they go to tri-top it. And I have my Staccato XC right here, and the curve is absolutely beautiful. There is no machine chatter on it whatsoever. That was actually kind of surprising. It's not super obvious in regular lighting, but like I say, in the studio lights I have right here, it's very obvious to me.
The next thing, the optics mounting system. So they have a new mounting system for this. And if you watch the SHOT Show kind of interviews of Staccato personnel, they all said the same thing. Oh, this is a direct mount for red dots. It's direct mount.
Now, the plate systems. Initially at SHOT Show, at least the reps told us that the gun was direct milled, and it had a direct milling system. However, I found out that that's not true, and that I had to purchase a plate afterward, which is actually why this review took 3 or 4 days, because I wasn't actually waiting on the gun, I was waiting on the plate system. I wanted the RMR HD plate, because the whole awesome part about this gun for me was that I can run the new RMR HDs without going over the ejection port. On the Staccatos, if you run an SRO or an RMR HD, it goes over the ejection port and can cause malfunctions, where Staccato now fixed that with their new plate system.
What I don't get is, this is 2025. People are going to be paying like $3,000 for this gun. Nobody is buying this gun and not putting a red dot on there. So I would really like to see Staccato just mill this integrally into the slide. Like have basically a plate built in and have the most common bolt pattern for this guy already milled in there. Like, I don't know why that can't be a thing. Or you should be able to customize which bolt pattern you want to have threaded into the slide. Some of the guys complained about the new kind of buffer system in here. There's like a bushing that can rattle and make some noise. Now, it seemed to go away after shooting it a bunch and after things got dirty, but that kind of was another thing where you sort of raised an eyebrow and thought, really? You guys, this is the best solution you could come up with? Several of the guys kind of bemoaned the fact that now it's, with the added complexity of the ambi slide release, it's a little bit more difficult to take down and reassemble. I don't know if that's a huge con, but multiple guys did mention that. So kind of the last thing that guys talked about was the Glock mag compatibility. And the HD ships with a metal Mechgar mag, so a third-party progressive die-stamped steel mag. And by all accounts, it worked fine in the HD. It worked as expected and as intended. However, that wasn't really the case when they started sort of cross-swapping the Mechgar mags into Glocks and Glock OEM mags into the HD.
Also, obviously, the new gun takes Glock magazines. Now, it kind of does and it kind of doesn't. It worked really well with these 18-round Staccato metal mags here that looks like they're made by Mechgar, so they're Mechgar metal Glock magazines. However, with the polymer magazines, we did experience several malfunctions, 5 in fact. 5 times we ran the gun empty, put a new mag into it, we hit the slide release, and nothing happened. We ended up having to karate chop it or run the slide. So, in my opinion, the metal mags are 100% reliable, whereas the polymer mags, the mags you would want, because they're cheap, that's why you want them, and they're probably stockpiled in pretty much everybody's home who owns a Glock. In my experience, these were not reliable enough for me to run for home defense.
to me, they got to come up with a better solution. If a Glock OEM mag isn't going to work 100% reliably in the pistol, I don't consider it, you know, Glock mag compatible. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave me when it comes to the Staccato C and the HD? I think I'm going to wait. I think there was enough little, maybe teething pains in this very first release to where I'm going to see kind of what happens and how things play out. We've had a history here in the recent past of several, you know, gun OEMs releasing products maybe too quickly, only to kind of pull back and do some subtle revisions and then kind of release it again. So for me, what I would hope to see is basically this pistol, a 4-inch pistol with a Series 70 trigger. I don't care about the ambi stuff. I don't care about the grip safety delete that takes OEM Glock mags. If it does that, I'll probably buy 2 of these guns. So anyway, that's it. That's my thoughts. What do you guys think? Why don't you leave your opinions and thoughts in the comments below. As always, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.